Hi, and welcome to SCW Live here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well. This is going to be a live Q&A, so come and join in the conversation. Leave your questions, and we'll get started straight after this. So we're back once again answering your questions in the wrestling community. Great to see we've got some comments in already, but just to let you know that anything's on topic. We can talk about, WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling. Of course, Rebellion is coming this weekend as well. So plenty of topics to get into. And yeah, feel free to get your questions in nice and early. But we're going to start off then getting the comments in nice and early with Gary Parkin, who says, we, Eric Guerra, I hope I've got that right, and Gary Parkin are Sasha Banks' biggest fans in the world. And I tell you what, Sasha Banks, she's a fantastic athlete, a big fan of hers as well. She had a great main event at WrestleMania. So yeah, really good. Very thank you for your comment. And Wrestling by Woolwich, thank you, Aaron, for joining in the stream as well. It's great to have you on board. It says, kind of looks like that Christian is holding Frankie's dog. The face tells the story. You're totally right. And I did try and get that quite well in the thumbnail as well. So no, thanks for the comment indeed. Jonesy Chats Wrestling, greatest thumbnail evening all. Yes, evening to you, Jonesy, as well. It's great to have you all. And Wrestling by Woolwich, it's awesome. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate it. Eric Travis, hi, SCW. Hi to you as well. Thank you for joining in. And yeah, it's great to have everyone on board. So like I say, drop your questions in nice and early. And let's get started with our first question here and now. Jones is saying, good evening, SCW. Big congratulations on reaching 1K subs. So well deserved after grafting since 2016. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. He's our questions asking what's going on with Black Taurus. Of course, he's part of the tag team in Impact Wrestling. He's with Decay, with Crazy Steve and Rosemary. But yeah, he's not going to be on the upcoming event that's coming up, Rebellion, this weekend, which is a bit of a surprise because he's been heavily featured since coming into the company. But yeah, I'd like to see him added as a last-minute tag team match. Usually pay-per-views have 9 matches. At the moment, we've got 8 for the current Impact show, which predictions are available on the channel for you right now if you haven't seen them already. But do stick for the live stream first, of course. You can go and check them out afterwards. But Impact, of course, they own the night on Thursdays now, so there's a good chance that one match could be added this evening. And there was actually a rivalry going on with Decay as well with Triple XL, so maybe that could be just a last-minute addition that could be added this evening. So we'll have to wait and see if that will be added or not. But certainly a match I wouldn't mind seeing. Would it be a match you want to see? That's what I'd like to know. Let me know in the comments right now. As well, we've got Jamie's Sports Talk and More. Hey, how's it going for you? It's going really well, thank you. I'm sort of dressed up a bit this evening. It's quite warm where I am. But how about yourselves? Hope you're doing well as well. Thank you for checking out the stream. We've also got Noob and Cohen House as well. Thank you, Noob, for checking out. Always a regular on the regular Q&As we have on a Sunday. I'm doing very well, thank you. Hope you're doing well also. Bonafide Heat as well. We did a podcast very recently as well on the channel. Great guy, great YouTuber as well. Many fantastic videos he's put up, and he's asking what's up. Not a lot really at the moment, but definitely would look forward to your questions as well. And we've got Eleanor Wrestling as well. And thank you very much for congratulating on 1,000 subs there. Easy for me to say. Jeff Samuel has got involved here, and he said, did I hear that Scott D'Amore said that he was thinking about bringing back TNA again, maybe for the knockouts? Who are some surprises you see for SmackDown tomorrow? Possibly, maybe Aleister Black. Well, Jonesy, who's actually involved in the stream, actually, he did actually post a video last week on his channel of a potential upcoming visionette that could be involved for Aleister Black coming back. There has been rumours that he will be involved at some point with SmackDown very soon. He's been dealing with some niggling injuries, so hopefully he will be back soon. It would be good to see him back on WWE TV because, let's be honest, he wasn't really booked the best before he was taken off of TV last year. So it would be nice to see if he was actually brought back into SmackDown. He's certainly one that I would expect to see at this rate. And let's not forget as well, Mia Yim and Slapjack have moved from Monday Night Raw to SmackDown as well, which should be interesting. I think Mia Yim would have a lot to offer to SmackDown. The division probably is lacking one babyface at the moment, so would like to see her brought over. Slapjack, on the other hand, I worry for him a little bit. I do think he'll struggle on SmackDown without Retribution as well. I do think he does better as Slapjack than Shane Thorne, though. I will say that. But going to your TNA question, if it was to come back as TNA, I personally think it's not a good idea. I know they've got history of being TNA before, but I like it as Impact Wrestling. I think they made too many mistakes previously as TNA, and I think that a lot of people kind of seen it as like a, not a company to go to, not a company that was sort of invested in Impact since they've rebranded, repackaged, obviously new ownership. In the last few years, they've done a lot better under Impact Wrestling. Yes, it's a much smaller company at this point, but the people they've got, they tend to stick around. They're very hardcore fan base that they have with Impact Wrestling. Certainly, I'm one of them as well. So, yeah, for me personally, I'm happy to see it as Impact. But there was a bit of buzz last year with TNA when they did the special. And, of course, they did also bring back the TNA World Heavyweight Championship for a time being. But that was unified just a month ago with Rich Swann winning that over Moose. So, yeah, it looks like perhaps not for the time being. But let's see what happens as things go down the road. Thanks, Bonafide Heat, for the congratulations on 1,000 subscribers. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, it was a long road, but yeah, really pleased to get there. And yeah, I couldn't do it with all you guys. Honestly, you guys and girls have been very supportive of the channel for a long time. So thank you all very, very much. Jonesy, do I see John Moxley costing Kenny Omega on Sunday's pay-per-view, as once he gets the belt, it'll be hard to get the belt off of him? I do kind of agree in a way. That would be quite fun to see, because, I mean, let's be honest here, John Moxley turning up an Impact, that actually would be really big. That would be something that would get people talking all over the wrestling community, not just the fact that Kenny Omega won the belt. Moxley go then cost him the championship, and Rich Swann become the AEW champion. That would be pretty fun to see. The only problem with it, in my opinion, is that AEW didn't even promote really this match this week. They made a small subtle mention that Kenny Omega is going for the championship this weekend. Didn't even mention the idea that perhaps Kenny Omega could lose that championship and Rich Swann could be there next week. So it makes me feel it's almost a guarantee at this point that Kenny Omega will become the belt collector. He's a AAA champion. He's the AEW champion. I expect as well he will become the Impact Wrestling champion as well. D&E in-house, thank you, D&E, for putting in a question. Do you think AEW will overtake Raw this week? They are very close. Well, I've not seen the ratings for this week, but I saw last week 1.2 million unopposed is fantastic for them. Yeah, they're probably about 800,000, probably at worst, behind Raw. I think Raw's even been at 1.7 million of late, so it's not so far to catch up. If AEW keeps doing what they're doing, putting out consistent storylines and stuff like that, I think they're in with a chance. But I would say it's still baby steps with AEW. I don't think that you can look at them and say they're going to overtake WWE overnight. But yeah, I mean, is there a chance they'll do it? They certainly can. And I know a video you did a long time ago saying that AEW can be quite appealing to other companies, particularly overseas as well, to give them better airtime, particularly in the UK. I think it would be good if they, perhaps were to go with Sky, for example. I think that would be, that would be big for AEW, because then they'd be on a platform where many people would see them, rather than being on ITV4, or I think Dynamite's probably on ITV, like an hour of it probably on like really late night TV, like the night before the next week. So if they would have a partnership like that, that would do really good for them as well. They're a growing company, and I do think they're going to push Raw very, very close, definitely. If it's not this year, certainly within the next year or two. Eleanor Wrestling, do I think that we'll be getting Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns feud soon? Do you know what? I really hope so. I think that'd be an awesome feud to get. The only thing is, at the moment, Seth is having such a great time with his suits. Literally every time. I think that's what he means by embrace the vision. Honestly, he almost blinds me every time this time. But at the same point, I'd like to see it. Yeah, I think it'd be a great feud. I think when you look at SmackDown right now, they are missing probably a top baby face, and with the idea of Mia Yim going to SmackDown, it makes you wonder if Keith Lee at some point would go over, but of course in the meantime the draft isn't for a while now. So if Seth Rollins was to do a babyface turn, I'd like to see him and Roman. It's a big money match. It certainly screams SummerSlam, if you ask me. Jamie's Sports Talk and more. Can I ask you something? How you do live streams on the YouTube channel? I can't get mine to work for live streaming. That's interesting that yours isn't working. I find it hard to answer that. What I can recommend you do, I'm using this, as you probably can see, it's powered by StreamYard in the top of the corner there. They're a fantastic website. They've got lots of tutorials on YouTube. Definitely worth checking out. And yeah, perhaps with that, maybe you'll be able to get live on YouTube very, very quickly, and you'll be able to do, live Q&As or stuff that people can interact with. Certainly, in the short time I've done it, I found it a lot of fun. So highly recommend if you're able to do it. Wrestling by Woolridge here for you now, or Waldridge, I should say. Apologies. I struggle with my R's sometimes. Good evening. Great to hear. If Kenny Omega wins the Impact title from Rich Swann, which belt could you see him going for next, assuming he uses the belt collector gimmick? That's a fantastic question. I know that the answer we all want, so I'm going to literally just pander to the audience right now. New Japan's the one we want, isn't it? I think that would be the full revolving door. I suppose you could go for Ring of Honor and as well NWA. I mean, Cody has been a former NWA champion previously, and he's been Nick Aldis has now been champion for well over 700 days now, or probably even more, to be honest, at this point. I've lost count, to be fair. So that would be a great avenue to go as well. But I think New Japan is the one that would definitely get the most attention if AEW want to continually get new eyes on the product. It's a shame that it wouldn't be against Kota Ibushi now, but certainly Omega against Ospreay. I'm up for that. You tell me if you're up for it as well. Would love to know your feelings in the comments. Eric Travis now, how do I feel about Pete Dunne's comment about Sheamus? That challenge, yeah, because Sheamus has been throwing out this open challenge, and it's a great idea for a storyline because Humberto Carrillo came out and the match didn't even start, so it's different than any open challenge we've had previously. Sheamus just attacked him. That was great fun to watch on Raw. I think it was one of the well put together segments because you really could, at that sort of point, get a big name value that comes actually be the proper challenger for Sheamus down the line. I'd like to see it, in a few weeks' time, maybe see someone like the Drew Gulaks of this world, the Lucha House Parties, the people that struggle to get the TV time. I think those people probably should be taken out by Sheamus first. Maybe move on to Ricochet, and then someone like Pete Dunne who answered on the tweet. That would be awesome to see because Pete Dunne on the main roster in general, if he could be pushed right, I'd love to see it. If he can't be pushed right, then I'd be less in favour. So, but that would be around Pete Dunne's area in WWE if he was to go to the main roster, that sort of mid-card area, especially for the short term anyway. But I still think that the long-term goal will be Keith Lee. But hey, I see Keith Lee for most fantasy booking things, so maybe I need to hold back on that one for the time being. Also, congratulations on 1K. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the kind words. Noob and Co. What are 5 things that WWE can fix Monday Night Raw? Goodness, how long have we got and how quick can I think of 5 things? I think first off has to be 2 hours. You've got to go back to 2 hours. If I was to be honest with Raw, being a 3-hour show, I'm doing a lot of WCW right now. I'm going back to the Monday Night Wars. 1998. It's the same problem that Raw has with Nitro. 3-hour show. Even when you cut the adverts, there's too much filler. If you took the filler out of the show, it probably wouldn't be half as bad. You look at SmackDown, there's usually 1 or 2 bits of filler in that show, but because of the fact it's such a short show, segments that feel like filler, they only sort of take place for about a couple of minutes and you move on to the next segment. On Raw, that piece of filler can be like 10, 15 minutes of your airtime. So I think that's one thing that really struggles with Raw. I think, to be honest as well, they need to put more focus in the women's division. I know that they're starting to address this. Charlotte Flair's returning. Rhea Ripley now is the champion. Oscar as well is there. But they need to push some of the other female talents as well. Excuse me, I need a drop of water very quickly. It's the key of being live, you see. You don't have breaks with this sort of stuff. But yeah, I think that's something that needs really addressing as well. I think, to be honest, just a shuffle of the deck really would be quite nice as well. Now Bobby Lashley is the champion. Drew McIntyre being someone that's continually going for the championship. It'd be nice to see him go for other feuds in and around the upper mid card. Perhaps he could be used as a platform to get another main event up and down the card. I think that would be something as well. Let's go with the commentary team. Number 4. I'm not really a fan favorite of the new guys so far. Sorry to say it, but I miss Tom Phillips. I think he was a good addition actually to Raw when he became last year. Now he's been taken off. I kind of miss him already. And number 5. I'll have to come back to you. I can't think of 5 off the top of my head, but yeah, if I can think of a 5th one, I'll come back to it. Next one for Bonafide Heat, top 5 favorite wrestlers. Is that a current of all time? Let's go all time for you on this one. And if you go for current, then I can always come back to that. But all time, probably Rob Van Dam would be top of the list. I always thought it was innovative. I loved his in-ring style. Shawn Michaels as well is one of my all-time favorites as well. Always a big fan of what he did. I'd probably have to give a shout out to The Rock, just purely from that electrifying personality that he had. He's just one of a kind, The Rock. Chris Jericho as well. He's just the way he's been able to reinvent himself over the years. Really, really special talent. And probably to finish things off, I'd probably go Edge. I was always a big Edge head. Even from the very beginning, I liked Edge. There was something that stood out about him. And when he became IC champion back in 2001, I think it was, I was really hopeful that he would become a big star going forward. And he's literally gone on to become world champion so many times. So that would probably be of all time. But To go with current ones, I'll quickly go through current ones for you as well, just so I've not missed the question at all. But I'll go with AJ Styles for current. He's just phenomenal. Every sort of level, AJ Styles just ticks all the boxes. I'm a big fan of Deonna Purrazzo. I think she's awesome in the ring. I love her working in Impact Wrestling, one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. I'd give a shout out to Rhea Ripley as well. I think that Rhea is awesome. I don't think she's been booked as strong as she could be on Raw at the moment, but certainly the potential is flawless with Rhea right now. You can't ignore Roman Reigns either. I think Roman is special talent as well. And let's go outside of WWE for the last one. Let's go for Hangman Page. I think that he's certainly got a lot to offer in AEW, and I can't wait for the day that he can really become a top main eventer. And AEW this week got 1.104 this week. Well, that's good. I mean, it's a drop to last week, but you know what? It's still fantastic for what they're doing. Over 1 million. The Demo God Chris Jericho, I'm sure, will be very happy with that. And if they can keep around the 1 million mark, that's amazing for them. So, yeah, awesome from them. Let's get to our next comment here now from CP Styles. Congratulations on 1K. Are you going to do the fancy promotion video? Oh, hello. Yeah, someone did suggest this on YouTube, on Twitter, I should say, very recently, the idea of doing a fancy promotion. I should actually put a poll because now I've got the community tabs actually come up, and a few people said there was interested on Twitter. Certainly would like to see if there was interest here on YouTube as well. So if so, let me know in the comments, and yeah, let's see what happens with that. Eric Travis also mentioned that me and him heading to SmackDown, possibly Keith Lee. I'd like to see it happen. I really, really would. And of course, Shane Thorne too as well. Yes, he's a part of the SmackDown roster. I still believe he's going to be Slapjack though at this point. Wrestling by Waldridge. Get it all the time, mate. No worries. Yeah, I'll try my best to be better with it in future with the name. I really, really do. But in the meantime, if I feel any point I might get it wrong, I'll just stick with Aaron if you don't mind, or WBW, just for the short abbreviation. Martin Carrillo, good to have you on board. Thank you for joining the stream. Hello, SCW. How long do you think that Pat McAfee will last on the SmackDown commentary booth? Well, judging off last week, I think it could be a permanent fix, you know. I mean, Corey Graves has gone to Raw now, so there's no need for him to be there. One that could perhaps go the other way, actually, you mentioned me and Yim coming to SmackDown. Maybe Carmella will go to Raw with Corey Graves. Feels like that could be something that could go down in the future. But Pat McAfee, I wasn't sure I'd be a fan of it, but looking at things, I think he did a great job last week. And you have to remember, someone like him, he's quite a cocky guy. And with the experience of Michael Cole next to him, that can keep him in check. And they did a great job last week together as a partnership. Let's see how they get on in the coming weeks. I think that certainly is something to keep an eye on, definitely, for the foreseeable future. Of course, Pat McAfee as well, he fits that Fox brand, doesn't he? So, yeah, I think it's a good fit. Can you send me that? I will send you the link indeed. Yes, not a problem with that. Yeah, drop me a DM on Twitter now, and when I come off, I'll drop you a link for you. DWE, what's your advice for people doing wrestling YouTube, and what's your favorite thing to film for the channel? Great question. I like it. It's really personal, this question, so thank you for asking this question. I mean, advice for doing it. I mean, make sure it's always fun. Make sure that what you're doing, you think that you've got a point to it, I suppose. Sometimes I feel I drag my points, but that's just my own personal criticism of myself. But looking at it, I would say that, yeah, always make sure you're enjoying what you're doing. If you enjoy it, it's fun and it's a hobby. And then that way, whatever you put out, if you're proud of it, then other people, you know, that enjoy what you do, regardless of it's, you know, the viewership you get, you'll be pleased with what you do and they'll appreciate it as well. That's the first step. And then if you continue to keep doing it, I mean, I've gone through the grind, as George said at the start of this video. I started this in 2016. I took some breaks at times when I was burnt out from doing videos. It's always to keep it light, keep it entertaining, keep it fresh. Don't overdo it. Make sure that if you can only do 2 or 3 videos a week, that's what you do. Just do it to where it feels fun, enjoyable. And like I say, if you've got a point to what you're doing, then it's cool. I think people will see it. But my favorite thing to do, I think, has to be Q&As. I do enjoy them because for me, interaction is the key. I love talking to people about professional wrestling. When I grew up, I only had like a few friends that were really into pro wrestling at the time. So the fact now we're kind of in this community on Twitter, on here on YouTube, and you have the ability to have so many people that even care about what I think that's like a really cool thing. So yeah, for me, that has to be my favorite thing to do without question. I love doing the Q&As, asking CW, and Not quite sure what happened there, but I'm back, thankfully. And thankfully, we've not lost the stream either. I think that's the most important thing. But thank you for sticking with me. Sometimes, I mean, this is only like the third time we're doing this, so there is probably a chance I've probably hit something by accident, so I do apologise there. But we'll go back to our next one. 100% up for Ospreay Omega. An NWA title was a great shout. I think it would be. I think Aldous would be a good person to go for because Aldous has been in there before. He was a part of All In as well. So, yeah, I think that would be a realistic shout. Who do I see winning the Royal Rumble 2022 for both men and women? I'm all about building new stars. So this year, if I was honest, I didn't think certain people were ready from the men's side, but I think by next year they definitely are. So I would say Big E or Keith Lee would be my top two picks for the men's side. From the female side, it's great to see Bianca Belair has got that this year. If Rhea Ripley doesn't hold on as women's champion, she could be a great contender for next year to solidify being that main eventer. But for someone that's established, because sometimes WWE likes to do one-on-one, I think Alexa Bliss would be a great shout for an established one, because at the same time, Alexa hasn't been champion now for years. I think it's going back to 2018. So for me, I think that would be quite special to see her actually win the Royal Rumble and go to WrestleMania. But maybe she doesn't bring Lily with her, I would say. Our next question, DC Wrestling. Thanks for checking out the stream. Thanks for coming on board. Who do you see winning this year's Money in the Bank for the men and the women? So it's good. We've got a Royal Rumble for next year, Money in the Bank for this year. For the men, for Money in the Bank, there's so many contenders. In fact, I'm considering doing a video on this of who I think should be in the match. There's so many great ideas. And I think something for the men, SmackDown has to get it. I think they have to have it. For me, I want to see someone like Big E hold it, but at the same time, I like the idea of a heel holding it. So I'm going to go out there on a limb and say Jey Uso. And the reason why I think Jey Uso should do it is because, I mean, if you look from a storyline perspective, he can actually tease of, cashing in on the Raw champion. He can even sort of have that conflicting relationship with Roman again. And I think we could revisit that at some point. I still think Jey Uso could be a top babyface main eventer if it was done correctly, but we'll have to wait and see on if that would actually come to fruition. I do think, though, for sure, I think if I'd say someone from SmackDown will win for the men, but as for the women, again, it's about elevating that next level talent. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say, because of the fact I do it every video these days, Nikki Cross deserves to be on TV. She deserves better than what she's getting. Let's put her back in. Let's give her Money in the Bank. Let's just go wild and crazy, and let's just go after a women's champion. I think that would be pretty cool to see, but yeah, it's probably not happening. But if it was, who do I see winning it? To be honest, realistically, I see someone established winning for the women. I wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte's around, if she's not suspended by them, maybe she could win it. But I wouldn't mind seeing Asuka win it as well, because now she's taken out the women's title picture. She could be fun as someone that, have a redemption story. Asuka needs a proper storyline, I think, to try and go back to for the women's championship again. She can't just, get lost in the shuffle after this. Quick drink break before we go to our next question. Oh, thank you, everyone. By the way, so many questions flying in. This is amazing. So thank you so much for everyone that's been getting involved. Eric Travis, he loves the Rebellion predictions video, and we might get more matches announced tomorrow. We just might, I wouldn't be surprised if more are added, but thank you for the kind words. And for anyone that's not checked out the video, Impact Wrestling fan, go and check it out. Highly recommend it. Noob and Co. Do I think that Sasha Banks and Bayley's storyline will hurt Asuka's momentum and credibility to the Raw Women's division? I do. I actually criticised it last summer. I said that they were on TV too much. And I got slated on Twitter for it. So a lot of people weren't a fan of it at the time, but of that tweet. But I did think they didn't need to do it. It was something different. It was something special. And we've had it in the men's division a few times before of two people holding all the gold. It's not uncommon, but I do believe that it did harm Asuka at the time, because she'd not long been the champion. She lost it in a very weird circumstance to Sasha Banks to begin with. Yes, she won it back, but then after that, it felt like all the momentum had gone, and it felt like WWE just didn't really know what to do with the storyline. I mean, we look back at, some of the championship matches she's had, Zelina Vega, Lana. I kind of lost for words of where she had a match with for the championship. I know she faced Bliss twice, but I don't think either of them were for the championship in January. It just feels like that it did really harm the momentum. But I don't know what we need to do with Asuka. I don't know if it's a heel turn, Money in the Bank. I don't know what it is. We need to do something for Asuka. Maybe even a short break from TV, which I know you suggested previously might do something good. Maybe just recharge the batteries, refresh, come back strong. Maybe that could be the way to go for Asuka. Martin Carrillo for us next now. Do you think that WWE is always desperate to give Raw a fresh start after the draft, even though they got the better roster? SmackDown doesn't really need it. Do you know what? I think you're right. I think Raw always seems to get the better end of the draft, but SmackDown always still is the better show. And I think that comes from actually being the shorter show. It's less filler, less time. Even if not a fan of someone, you don't have to see them as much. I mean, I don't know if Bonafide's still with us at the moment, but I mean, he hates The Miz. But if he's on SmackDown, then you only see The Miz for a few minutes every week. You can get over it, get to your next point. You know, if the superstars are on SmackDown, they're usually sort of, they're in and out. You've got always that feeling of, if you do like what's going on, you're wanting more. And I think that's what's really good with SmackDown. Raw can take whoever they want. But yeah, if the show is too long, it's always going to drag unless you've got really gripping storylines that can take you from the start, middle, and end of the show. Kind of like when Bobby Lashley won the WWE Championship. You need storylines like that each and every week. And unfortunately, WWE just can't consistently do that. They don't seem to hold up on giving us those consistent storylines each and every week. We got next question here, and he started watching WWE way back in the 80s when WWE was WWF. Wow, definitely a long-term fan. You're actually ahead of me on that one. I started in the very early 90s. I started in 1992, but yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that we're still here. We're still fans of it today, and definitely interesting to know why you're still a fan of the product still today, because I mean, obviously for a lot of us, we've been following it for so long. Sometimes it's habit, sometimes it's seeing the next stars built. Sometimes it's just still enjoying what's going on. Be interested to know your story, actually, and thank you for sharing that with us here. What's my favorite match of all time? Wow, that's a great question there. Wow, I'm going to go out on a limb here and give you two matches. Actually, I'm going to give you three because I'm going to do a top three, so that way I'm kind of not missed anything out. I think my third place match would have to be End of an Era. WrestleMania 28. I love the storytelling with Triple H and Undertaker. Shawn Michaels as the ref. Just everything about that story and the angle in the match was perfect. I think Hell in a Cell 98 or King of the Ring 98, which is so Undertaker and Mankind, I think has to come in second place. And top of the bill, let's go TLC 2. I think it's an amazing match from WrestleMania 17, my favorite show of all time. And yeah, I mean, even to this day, that match still really holds up as well. And again, it's another one of those WrestleMania matches where that's an awesome match and it's not too long. You're left wanting more. And every time I watch it, I can just watch it again and again. Never gets boring. Jonesy back with us now. What do I think of the return of Dabba Kato, and was I surprised by his return? I was really surprised by that, especially the placement. But I really liked the way it was delivered because, I mean, it protected everyone in that WrestleMania match. I mean, it gave Apollo the title without actually beating Big E cleanly. Gets the natural heel heat. Big E, you know, he lost and actually has a reason for it. So he doesn't have to feel so bad about the fact, well, he'll feel bad about it, but from a viewer perspective, we don't feel bad he lost. And for Dabba Kato, or Commander Aziz, as he's now known as, he now can, you know, he's on WTV. He's got a spot on TV each and every week. I'm not sure what I think about the gimmick just yet, but the thing is, this idea of the bodyguard, this Shawn Michaels and Diesel aspect, you know, the big and little, always works well in WWE. It's worked well currently in NXT with Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez. I think it could work well here. This will solidify the fact that even Apollo has won that championship, has got the gimmick change. He'll still be on TV. He'll probably still be on pay-per-view. So I think this works and ticks all the boxes. So yeah, I'm surprised by it, but so far I'm a fan by it, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it's going to go. I think that's the big key here with this. Silver Styles, do you think WWE has too many titles? If so, what would I do? That's a great question. I mean, for me personally, I think merging the titles is always a good idea. I think if I was to do it, I'd merge the. Right, here's what we'd do. We'd keep Raw and SmackDown as we have right now, but we'd merge championships. The champions would be able to go on both shows, with the exception of the United States champion and the Intercontinental champion. Those are stuck for one show each, your mid-card champion. And then that way you have then the top champion that goes from both sides. Your tag champs go both sides. Women's champ goes both sides. And that way, yes, there probably still too many championships in WWE, but the thing is, you could introduce maybe a Cruiserweight championship, maybe a Trios championship, and you can have those, and it wouldn't feel so out of place. But maybe with the Trios one, maybe that's not such a good idea. We have not enough teams as it is, so maybe that'd be a problem. But yeah, that's probably something I would do. I'd look to make the champion really mean something, that the fact they can be on both shows, and that way you can actually have a breather with superstars on pay-per-view, really can mix them, shuffle the deck if you want, and then when it comes to those real big pay-per-views, everyone gets on the card, and it may feel just that little bit extra special. Jeff Samuel back with us now. Asuka can be written off TV, and then when she comes back with a whole new look, character, and theme as well, refreshing her. How would you feel about that story with Angel Garza and Nia Jackson, Shayna, maybe? That's not a bad shout for Asuka. I mean, the thing is, I really like to heal Asuka. I liked when she was part of the Kabuki Warriors, and maybe that would be an avenue she could go down again, rather than actually just completely refreshing. But sometimes change is not a bad thing. And WWE used to change a lot of the theme music back in the Attitude Era, probably every year or so. Someone would have a new theme song, like, quite regularly. And we don't get that so often these days. So, yeah, that's possibly not a bad shout. Garza and Nia Jackson, Shayna, well, Garza was around with Nia Jackson late last year. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the storyline yet, but what I would say is that Nia and Shayna's breakup is coming. And I would say that this gets Angel Garza on TV. So if nothing else, that's a good thing, because I think Garza is incredible. I think he has a lot of talent. And I do think as well that this guy does deserve to be a big-time player in WWE, because I think for the Hispanic market as well, his English is great. He's great as that cocky heel. Do you remember that NXT Kyle when he made his debut and he sort of went to sort of like, I'll give you the high five, and Carl went right out for it. And he's just like, nope, I'm just leaving that. That was awesome. He's just got great character work, great confidence. Literally, the guy could be a star, in my opinion. Thoughts of AEW doing 1.1 million last night and 1.2 million last week. Is 1 million the normal number now? It certainly can be. I mean, I think this is a question definitely we'll know the answer to properly in a few weeks' time, but certainly I think it's going to be, providing that the people that are tuning in, the numbers don't go down each and every week. I think that's going to be the issue if that happens. But in my opinion, I think that AEW, if they continue to go strength to strength, I think that number's only going one way, and I think eventually it will go up. Jamie's Sports Talk and more. Your favorite wrestler of all time, Ultimate Warrior. As I said earlier on, Rob Van Dam for me. The innovative style of his, he just stood out at the time in the 90s, especially ECW. Probably was a bit young to be watching ECW back in the day, but I first was familiar with Rob Van Dam on Raw in 97 when they kind of did that invitational with ECW. And yeah, for me, RVD ever since, I just thought it was something special about him. Just the way he just flew around the ring. He'd do things no one else could do. Everyone can do it today, but back then, he made him unique, and that's what made him a favourite of mine. Martin Correa, is it just me, or do the Young Bucks just overuse the super kick and it's annoying? I enjoy AEW, but it just feels indie in the wrestling specific. Yeah, it is a bit overdone, to be fair. I would agree with that comment, to be honest. There's not much more I can add to it, really. I think every move always means more when you do it less. And if they do it 20 times a match, yeah, I mean, it kind of shows that when they go to the gym, they don't really do leg day. That's what I take from that. Randy Sam, T-Bar and Mace, mask off. People are suggesting that someone is in their corner, and you hope that they go back to that old name for people. Who is the leader of them? Well, I think MVP has to be the guy, has to be the one, doesn't he? Maybe we'll see him in suits in a couple of weeks. We'll have to wait and see if that will be the way. But I like it's a slow build with this. And it does feel like that Dijakovic and Dio Madden, that they are actually being taken a little bit more seriously now that they're out of Retribution. I know it feels a bit random that they got beaten every single week, but now they seem creditable. But at the same time, these are two big dudes. They're young dudes, or well, young enough to the main roster story terms anyway, and they could offer something to Raw. So I'm pleased to be seeing they're given a second chance. But for me, I would align them with MVP. Maybe not necessarily part of the Hurt Business, but certainly I'd have MVP as someone who was part of that arrangement. And eventually I'd have these two go and destroy the tag team division. I think they would be great opponents for Omos and AJ Styles further down the line, but I wouldn't rush that. I'd leave that a few months first. Marta Carrillo, thoughts on new NXT call-ups, Dominic Dijakovic and Dio Madden. Yeah, that's brilliant, that. Yeah, I mean, let's hope that they'll do on Raw, as I just said in the last question. I do think there's a lot of promise of them. I think Dio Madden is more green of the two, but Dijakovic can definitely carry the team as a tag team as well. I think this really, really could work. So, yeah, power to it. I really do hope it goes somewhere. Jonesy, are you excited about the potential Dakota Kai versus Raquel Gonzalez feud that is brewing? I think it's a clever work by NXT. Yeah, do you know what? It's definitely there in the works. And again, it's another one of those that I think it should take time. I don't think they should do it overnight. I like the fact that Dakota Kai is probably going to get this. Well, I don't like she's getting destroyed next week by Mercedes Martinez. Dakota Kai is one of my favorites in NXT. But at the same time, for the story, I think it works really, really well. And if Raquel keeps being the one that can make the save and stuff, and Dakota feels threatened, there comes a point where I think Dakota will turn. And yeah, I think it'll be a fun feud when it comes around. I think, like you say, this could be some very clever booking from NXT. Next, we've got a brand new ask here. Thank you for your question. How do I feel about Charlotte being suspended and written off TV? How do I feel about Charlotte coming back to Money in the Bank with a whole new gimmick? She snapped. Can be like Alexa Bliss. Well, we sort of got a new gimmick with Charlotte, haven't we? Well, we say new gimmick. It's kind of a new old gimmick, haven't we? She's sort of 2016 Charlotte once again. I like this Charlotte, how she is. I wouldn't want to change what we've got right now. I'd keep her the same. But definitely being suspended, written off TV was a surprise to me. Apparently, it's something to do with dental work. Something I read online. I don't know how true that is. It was a great point made on Josie Chats Wrestling actually this week from Steve, that's also a co-host on that channel as well, suggesting that Charlotte Flair could be off. She's meant to be doing the Walk and Tall movie that's meant to be coming up on the USA Network, I believe. So that could be a reason she's been off as well. I was really hoping we were getting a triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship at Backlash. I'd even made a graphic and everything, was ready to sort of make a video claim on it, but it didn't really happen in the end, sadly. But let's wait and see. I mean, Charlotte, she's suspended indefinitely. Wouldn't be surprising if WWE actually went back to it 2 weeks from now and just sort of went back on it as she returned. Eric Travis once again. Who are some of the call-ups you would like in SmackDown, and how do you feel about the feud with Kyle O'Reilly and Karrion Kross and Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase? To the moon, I would do the impression, but I might butcher it. Grimes is growing on me, and do you know what? He's growing on me as well. I didn't know what to think about this gimmick change at first. Absolutely love it. I think it's awesome what they're doing with Cameron Grimes right now. Him and Ted DiBiase. DiBiase said he was going to come in and be involved with this. So yeah, I'm not surprised that that this is sort of going down. It's been quite comical. It's been amusing. It's been entertaining. I've kind of enjoyed it. With Kyle O'Reilly and Karrion Kross, I think it's a bit soon, to be honest, but it kind of makes sense that it's the natural challenger at this point. I hope that maybe we'll get this match, and that's where Adam Cole returns and takes out Kyle O'Reilly to extend that feud. I think we've got other feuds that we should be doing before Kyle O'Reilly and Karrion Kross, in my opinion. They are the two up-and-coming stars, and I think Kyle O'Reilly eventually should be the guy to take the championship off Kross. But then maybe it could end up being a triple threat or something. Maybe that's what will happen. We'll have to wait and see. You go on to say as well that Dakota Kai is underrated. Yeah, I completely agree that she is underrated. Yeah, as Martin Carrillo said here, it's crazy that she hasn't been NXT Women's Champion. I totally agree. I'd love to see it happen at some point. She was in NXT UK as well for a small stint at one point also. But yeah, I'd like to see her as the Women's Champion definitely at some point. Perhaps maybe she's the one that beats Raquel. We'll have to wait and see. Jonesy back again. Arguably the hardest question of the night. Do you see this Alexa Bliss Lily thing going? And do you see Nikki Cross playing Lily? Oh dear. Yeah, this is where I want Nikki Cross on TV, so I would actually be okay with it at this point. The thing is that it would be a bit bizarre and bonkers, and it wouldn't make any logical sense of how we got there. But hey, this is Raw. This is WWE. This is 2021. Nothing's really made sense with this up to now, has it? But yeah, I have no confidence in the Alexa Bliss Lily thing. What I will say is that Alexa Bliss has been electric on her delivery, on everything she's been given to do. She is a real talent. There's no argument with that. Alexa Bliss is awesome in the role, but the material is it's the drizzling. Let's just leave it at that. Unfortunately, I'm not a fan of it, but I know some out there are. So let's see what happens further down the line. Another one here as well. For Impact, who's the mystery partner for Grace? That's a very interesting question. I did this in the video that I did for my predictions video. I gave a few names, but there was one name I didn't mention that could be, which is Allysin Kay. She's actually unsigned right now. I think she could be a shout since leaving NWA. She was a part of AEW on a buy-in, I believe, for Full Gear last year, but not been on TV since. So she could be one. I had three other names that I had at the time in the video, if I can remember them. Killer Cross and Renee Michelle were two of them. And yeah, Tia Trinidad, Zelina Vega was my other one. So fingers crossed that one of them, it could be the person. I'd like to know who you think it would be in the comments below. Who you'd like it to be, would be keen to see. But with Impact, what I would say is that they are very good at finding up-and-coming young talent that people, aren't used to, that familiar with, and they turn and make them into stars. Not really women's division, but I'd take Chris Bay. I knew nothing about him before Impact Wrestling. I think he's awesome. I think he's one of the future top stars in the world. he'll eventually go on to really great things in a company and become a world champion. I'm convinced with that. I think more likely AEW at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him at some point going over. So yeah, new star potentially, but to give a final answer on that, I went with Selena Vega on the predictions, but I'll change it to Alison Kay just to mix things up for this video. Feels fresh, doesn't it? How would you improve NXT UK? Oh, good question. Well, there's not much you can do with NXT UK right now because with the pandemic, I think they are one of the brands that really misses the fan base, and I think that's probably one of the major problems for NXT UK right now. They do really good with their matches, but it's a hard one. This one, very hard question. I suppose. I mean, they'll have the ability to travel more and stuff like that, but maybe storylines. Maybe they could just make a bit more in-depth storylines. They're quite simple and effective storylines at times, but yeah, maybe that would be where it'd go. Maybe some more sports entertainment storylines, maybe, but rather than giving that sort of indie vibe that they give a lot of the time when I've been watching. I must say I've not been as consistent of watcher as of late, but my reasoning for that more is timing issues more than actually not liking the product at all. Do one like Penta Dark with a manager, and the new theme was dope. It fits in perfectly, and he likes Alex. He seems to be annoying, especially when he dissed Trent. Yeah, that was a really cool spot when it happened. I really enjoyed that, and yeah, I really like this partnership they've got with Penta and the new manager now. I think it's a really good fit. My only problem is that I think Penta should be further up the card, and I've always felt that. And I want to see, I want to see the Bone Breaker back from Lucha Underground. That was a really cool badass gimmick. So for me, that's the one tweak I'd like to see. But as this is a partnership, it works really, really well. My other slightly nitpick, if I want, is that Death Triangle, or 2/3 of them, were playing baby faces a couple of weeks ago, and now all of them are just automatically turned heel without any explanation. Pac and Phoenix gone back to the heel side, but no, this looks to be a fun thing. What's going on? And yeah, poor Trent's mum, she seems to get the insults quite a lot, but maybe it means she's coming back to Dynamite at some point. That certainly be fun to see. Great suggestion here, Rachel Ellering. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd be very keen to see her there. I mean, she's been a part, of course, the Mae Young Classic, and she's also been involved, with AEW, I believe, last summer as well in that tag team tournament. So yeah, I'd really like to see that. Rachel Ellering could be a game changer. Great shout, great suggestion. Where do I see the released talent from WWE ending up? And would it be a fan of Samoa Joe versus Eddie Kingston? Imagine the promo, bro. Yeah, the promo would be epic. There's no argument with that. I was going to do a video on everyone, and I would say there's probably a good chance I won't remember all the names on the video here right now. So probably it's a good excuse that I could still do that. But what I would say is Samoa Joe is one given there. I'll give a few names that I can remember off the top of my head. I think Samoa Joe will go to AEW. And I think he will be part of Team Taz. They are looking for an established star, Team Taz, and there's some friction in amongst there. I think Brian Cage could be kicked out of the group. I think Samoa Joe could replace him, and I think that could be a direction that they could be heading. For the Iconics, I wouldn't be surprised if it was AEW, but I'm going to go for Impact. I think that they would be great for the tag team division, and also their character work is fantastic, and that's what really makes Impact's Knockouts division stand out. You could turn around and say that the quality of wrestling isn't always on par with, say, like NXT, for example, but their characters are fantastic the way that they do that. So that for me would be a potential I'd like to see. Mickie James, I'll go NWA just because her husband's there. It's the easy option, isn't it? And plus the NWA Women's World Champion also goes to AEW, so she could do some appearances there. I think she'd be really good for any roster that she's a part of. And let's try and think of one more name out there that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm struggling to think right now. I'm thinking of Bo Dallas, and I've got no idea where he'll go. But weirdly enough, I did ever think about this one before. I have a feeling he might just go Ring of Honor, EC3 went there. I know EC3 is not doing too well actually at the moment. Wish him all the best actually, because he's been hospitalized for the last few days now. I wish him a very speedy recovery. But since he went to Ring of Honor, I thought that was a very interesting left field choice, and it worked out really, really well at the start. I wouldn't mind seeing if Bo Dallas was to do the same, really establish himself as a character that we know he can be. And I think Bo Dallas will actually flourish a lot better outside of WWE. Get next question up, and I'm going to take a quick drink break, as you know. Oh, how would I write Oscar off of TV? Hopefully she'll come back when Live Crowds comes back, and maybe some of the Raw Women's division will be worried, just like they were last time. Well, that's the thing. you need to give that fear factor for Asuka if she's going to take time off. For me, I think that certainly a beatdown kind of angle is always the best way, whether it's someone that's a whodunit angle in the locker room, that way that when she does return, you know, she's kind of got that fear factor of finding who the culprit is and really being that menacing sort of, you know, character. Either that or she gets really badly beaten up in the title match and has to be written off that way. And then she has to, you know, relentlessly get herself back into the title picture, going for that champion. That'd be quite a fun storyline to see. So there are my couple of suggestions I'd give there, but certainly be interested in your thoughts, Snoop, because I know you're a big Oscar fan. Martin Carrillo, did Jeff Hardy deserve a long run as WWE champion in 2009, or was it lackluster? I wouldn't call it lackluster. I think it ended abruptly, though, because that was like the year that CM Punk cashed in and then they had a big feud afterwards. I think that was on that particular year. I was okay with that, but just purely because we got that feud with CM Punk. I really enjoyed that. But I've just gone to see on the comments he actually meant 2008, so I'm guessing that's when he won at the pay-per-view and then lost it to Randy Orton the following. Was that the following month that happened there? If my memory serves me right. Yeah, I was okay with that. I thought that. I was okay with it because I think they had a direction of where they wanted to go, and for Jeff Hardy at that time, it was a shame that it was so soon. But yeah, I mean, things sort of worked out for Jeff Hardy really in that sort of period. Every time that Jeff Hardy sort of got knocked off his perch, he came back stronger. And I think that that's what happened. And if you look at things with around that sort of time, many superstars had a short reign as champion their first run. It's always that second run where it seems to be a bit longer. Edge is another prime example. He cashed in at New Year's Revolution in 2006, obviously that first ever Money in the Bank. Then obviously lost the championship to John Cena, Royal Rumble. And then it took a while for him to get it back, but then he got it back, I think, in the middle of the summer. And from that point onwards, Edge went from strength to strength. 11-time world champion. So Jeff Hardy kind of the same. If Jeff Hardy didn't leave when he left the company in the middle of 2009, I think he would have had at least 2 or 3 more runs as world heavyweight champion, in my opinion anyway. I know they had a few personal problems going on as well at the time. Question here, Brian Cage versus Christian. Cage wins. Which Cage are we going here? But Cage turns face and shakes Christian's hands. Taz and Cage choke Taz. Sorry, I struggle to read this with the NDs, unfortunately. That's always a bit of a struggle for me. But the lights go out and Samoa Joe and Miro attack Cage. Miro is the new member of the team. Well, that would be a fun, interesting twist for Team Taz. That certainly would work quite well. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, Miro is definitely sort of in a lost direction right now in AEW. And he seems to be on the right path, at least. He looks like he's going to become a monster going forward. It's just what championship he's going to go for. But certainly, if he was to be in and around the mix with these sort of superstars, same sort of weight class, fun, interesting dynamic of matches here. Let's go to our next question then. Samoa Joe for Impact will be the guy. I'd like to see him versus Josh Alexander. Me as well. That would be an awesome match. Joe to put Josh over is good. And of course, Eric Young is injured. Do you see Violent by Design for Rebellion and Mystery Guy? Who would you like to see? Oh, really? I'm not aware of any of that, so that's very cool to see. Do you know what I thought would be a really good fit for Violent by Design is Steve Cutler. Of course, he was released from WWE earlier this year. He's available to join now. I think he'd make a good tag team partner with Dina, to be honest, to be a part of that Violent by Design with the shaved head look that he's got going at the moment. So, yeah, I think that could be a potential one. But then I would say for sure the babyfaces would definitely go over. I think they'd be a bit lost without Eric Young. And also the only thing I'd say that goes against Cutler, Blake as well seems to be someone that's now obviously released from WWE as well. I think there could be a tag team in Impact. Give it a few months from now. Who are some of the wrestlers that you think needs character changes? Alexa Bliss, The Fiend, anyone that does supernatural rubbish. No, seriously though, The Fiend doesn't need a gimmick change. She just needs better booking, in my opinion. Alexa Bliss, this gimmick, I liked it when it was under Mind Control. I kind of felt like she was being controlled by The Fiend, and that sort of really motivated me in that storyline. But since The Fiend got written off TV and it just went, in my opinion, a bit silly, I would say that it's kind of gone a bit south from there. And I think someone that I'd say that needs a gimmick change, I want to see Alexa Bliss evolve back to becoming the goddess. But I like almost, even though I'm not a fan of supernatural stuff, there was that one time on Raw, and I think it was one of the matches against Asuka, where she sort of transitioned through all the Alexa Bliss characters. I'd like to see something like that going on, but backstage, it looks better for me backstage. I can believe it more than in the ring. When you've got the people in the Thunderdome or when we get the real fans back, you can't really pull that off. So for me, in my personal opinion, I think Alexa Bliss is someone that needs the character change right now the most. And arguably, I would have said T-Bar, I should say, rather than TJ. T-Bar and Mace would be the other two, but that looks to be on the way now at least. What was more funny, WrestleMania 9 or the White Castle Fear, based on the retro watch as long as I've done? Yes. Well, we together have done it with Rated R. Jonesy, great channel. Rated R, also another fantastic channel as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed both of them. I mean, the White Castle Fear, goodness, I don't know what someone was smoking when they did that. But you know what? In a weird way, I kind of enjoyed that more than WrestleMania 9. WrestleMania 9 is bad. So I'm going to say that the White Castle Fear is funnier based on what we have done. Yeah, so that's what I would go with there. Wrestling by Wardridge. If you saw NZT, no, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that at all. But maybe you can elaborate more on that for me in the comments. Just to say, I'm taking a few more questions for sure, but probably looking to go about another 10 minutes, maybe 15 tops. So yeah, as the questions that come in, if it dries up in that sort of time period, then we'll probably look to come away at that point. But still got a couple of questions in at the moment. And we've got now here again. Apologies if you saw NXT. What did you make of Sarai's debut compared to Asuka? Do you know what? I was really hoping to get this question, so thank you very much for bringing it in. I was a fan of the debut, but I didn't see anything that I hadn't seen before. That's what I would say. But I don't want to judge it on one match because I thought her selling was fantastic. I really enjoyed the selling of what she did. I thought Zoe Stark was great in the match as well. You can see they've got great plans for her. But the way that she sold moves to Sarai was fantastic, and the way she delivered them as well. That sort of spin kick that she sort of did, almost like that she did with RVD kind of style to the face. That was really awesome. And that Saito suplex as well looked pretty darn badass. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more matches of her in NXT. But I would say compared to Asuka, I would say Asuka, I saw it. Kairi Sane, I saw it. Io Shirai, I saw it the most. When she was brought in, I knew it was something definitely special. I'm looking forward to seeing more from Shirai, but I'm sure we're going to get that as we see more appearances from NXT personally. Eddie Edwards to turn on James Storm and join Violent by Design. Do you know what? I'd like that. Because Eddie Edwards before as a psychotic heel, I really like that with Kenny. I'm jumping ahead before I even got the rest of the question. I just like the start of it. He's calling it how Eric Young got in Eddie Edwards' head last Thursday. Got me thinking, and how Eddie can bring back the old clean-cut Eddie. Do you know what? That'd be good as well? Because, yeah, he's got a very weird look. We think about gimmick changes with WWE. If someone could have a bit of a makeover, Eddie Edwards would be the one. He certainly is... he's kind of got that ECW vibe from like the mid-90s where he's not sure what sort of direction to go in. So yeah, it definitely would be one that I wouldn't mind seeing this. I think this would be a great idea and would definitely be shock value for the pay-per-view. But how big does Violent by Design get? Does it sort of become NWO size eventually? Have to wait and see. But certainly it's no bigger than Inner Circle or Pinnacle. So yeah, I would be really down for that. I think it's cool. Martin Correa, once again, if WWE didn't have the brand split back in 2016 with the likes of AJ Styles, Alexa Bliss, Kevin Owens, Sasha Banks, Bray Wyatt, would have been main eventers to this date? That's a money question. That's a real money question you're giving us there. Thank you so much for that. Do you know what? I would have to turn around and say I think Alexa Bliss breaks through just because Charlotte Flair would still have all those championships. I think Sasha Banks breaks through. But when you look at the others, I would say I'd struggle to see it, I would struggle to see it. AJ Styles and Kevin Owens, I think AJ seems to always be the world champion of if you want the second brand. It's not the main brand a lot of the time. AJ Styles right now has got more chance of being world champ on Raw than he does on SmackDown. And back then, Raw was seen as more important than SmackDown when AJ was the world champ. So as much as I hate to say it, he's my favorite right now. I would turn around and say that maybe he wouldn't get it. That's a very good question there. I really like it. And Kevin Owens hasn't been to the top since having it the first time already with a brand split. So yeah, I mean, that kind of answers itself really there. We'll go to the following questions then. Just got to scroll very quickly. We've got Jonesy back for our next question now. How has your interest in wrestling changed since you first started watching back in 1992? Wow, this is a loaded question here, Jonesy. Hope you'll stick around for this one. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, as a child, obviously it was all new to me. So, I knew from the start it was predetermined, that it was scripted. I had the sit down talk to me before I even turned it on for the first time. So I knew what I was going into. So instantly I was always into the storylines, the fantasy booking. And then you had the action figures. And yeah, I from a very early stage got into the idea of how would I book it? And that was always my thing. And my interest hasn't really changed, as you can probably see on YouTube. I've now given my opinions as I've got older, that I arguably, I don't think I know better, but certainly think I have an idea of what I think people would want if people aren't a fan of something. And I voice my opinion, and a lot of the people that are here, a lot of the time, you'll say very, very nice things. So that's always good to know. But that's kind of where my interest has always been with it. But there are been many, many times where my mind's been blown, where I think I know that a good idea of a direction, and someone just knocks it out of the park, and I think, wow, what have they done? And that's something that definitely my interest always keeps, because I love the idea that I can come up with ideas, but I love even more when a company really surprises me and really does something that just makes you think, God, I just didn't see that coming, and that was amazing, and I can't wait to go and tell my friends about it, whether it's yourself or actually these days come on YouTube and say, this is freaking awesome. So we'll come down to about the last sort of few minutes or so. Do I like pay-per-views based around matches, or would I like a A-list pay-per-view like Money in the Bank, Mania, and Elimination Chambers? Yeah, I've got the gist of the question there. For me, I prefer seeing less gimmick pay-per-views. I don't mind some of them. I don't mind, like, for example, Money in the Bank. I think it's like an exception to the rule, because I think it's special enough to be a pay-per-view. But Hell in a Cell and those sort of matches, Elimination Chamber, it's better when there's a reason to have those matches. I think that's kind of my sort of take on it, if I was honest, because I mean, if you go through the years, certain feuds need a Hell in a Cell rather than saying, oh, it's October, let's do Hell in a Cell. So for me, I prefer to see them actually brought up sporadically, rather than actually it's because it's that month of the year. So yeah, I think Money in the Bank, I don't mind as its own pay-per-view. In another way, Elimination Chamber as well, because I mean, how many excuses do you usually have to throw 6 people inside a chamber? So those two, I think, are exceptions to the rules. But TLC, Extreme Rules, Hell in a Cell, those ones, I think personally they should be used as actual match types rather than pay-per-views. I think WWE could be a little bit more original with pay-per-view names, or even bring back some nostalgic ones. I think that would be a really good take to get. Jonesy, very quickly, just before we come off the stream, says, good night, Brian. Thanks for answering all my questions. Take care. And thank you for actually being here from the very, very start as well. I appreciate everyone that's been checking out the stream and being here today. It's been really, really awesome to answer your questions here on SCW. And of course, this has been the 1K celebration as well. So yeah, thank you very much for your questions and for watching as well. And to everyone that's got involved also. I've got 2 questions currently left. If I don't receive any more after that, then that will be the end of the stream. But kind of, it's a last call if you want. If you want to throw a question in, if you've not asked it, probably a good time to get it in now. And then probably in the next minute or so, I'll probably say no more questions. But then we'll go to Jeff Samuel then, who's got a next question for us now. And who are some of the women or men that I'd like to see in Money in the Bank? Sami Zayn for the conspiracy theory, and Kevin Owens, and for the women, Ruby Riott and Shannon. Well, I did answer this earlier in the video, and I said Jey Uso for the men, but Sami Zayn would be awesome, just purely for his, it's always fun to see a heel in that role. I said before I could see Charlotte Flair probably having the women's just because, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind seeing Ruby or Shayna. I think that would be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I'd be down for that personally. We've seen that one. Sorry, I've already called that one up already. But yes, we've got again SCW for NXT. Drake Maverick seems like Killian Dane is going to join Imperium. Yeah, I've seen and noticed that as well. What if the swerve that Drake actually joins Imperium, or the Imperium turn on Water, or someone else wins the UK belt? Well, I tell you what, there's definitely some fun suggestions in and amongst that. I would say right now that one of 2 things I can see happening is that Killian Dane will join Imperium, as you suggested, along with Timmy Thatcher. I think that definitely will be a likelihood to happen. But what I could see also, if you wanted, if Killian Dane seems to be losing a lot of matches with Drake Maverick, if he's willing to not get rid of him, I can see Imperium turning on Alexander Wolf, and I can see Wolf and Dane restarting Sanity. It's just an idea that I've seen in the last couple of weeks. I think it could be a twist if we don't get everyone join Imperium. But certainly, those swerves would be interesting to see, particularly Imperium turning on Volta. That certainly would be exciting, because Volta can't be in America all the time. It doesn't want to be there. So that would be definitely a fun, unique twist. That's certainly my favorite there. Drake Maverick, to see him as serious would be interesting, but I'm not sure if he'd pull off the role well enough, in my personal opinion. But certainly do love this anyway. And thank you for the kind words of saying love this channel, guys. It really, really does mean a lot. And yeah, honestly, I'm pleased you guys have had a good time. You guys and girls have been checking out. It's really been awesome to see. And I want to say thank you to everyone that has been involved here on SCW Live here this evening. It's been great fun for me to do this. Of course, this is still kind of learning experience for me in a weird way, because I've not done live far too often. Certainly not on my own either. I'm used to sort of just sitting and recording and then obviously putting the video up sort of outright. It's always a lot more fun when actually you can do this way, interacting with you, getting your instant thoughts as well. I will say, if you haven't already, the community tab is available as well. I'm trying to do something every day on that tab to try and get a bit of interaction with everyone as well. So that way we can always get your thoughts and interests of what you like on SCW, whether it's, you know, particularly like a particular video you want to see, a certain company, what you thought of a particular show. Certainly that would be something you hopefully would go and check out as well. Definitely would like to recommend that if you haven't already. Last question. This is the very last one I'm going to take this evening. Thank you everyone, as I say again, for your questions, but from Martin Carrillo. No, he says, thank you for answering my questions. Last question in NXT. Who could we see? Sorry, I'm going to read this very quickly before I read it out loud. NXT, what could we see from people like LA Knight and Roderick Strong are coming? Right. Okay, sorry about that. It took a minute for me there. LA Knight, for me, I think he's doing a great job. I'm really liking what he's doing. And I do feel that at the moment, the mid-card area is perfect for him. They don't need to rush him to the main event because he's not going to win it. So I would keep him as this obnoxious mid-card guy, kind of that Johnny Gargano level. Maybe in 3 to 6 months, North American Championship. But in the meantime, just have him as like that Cameron Grimes kind of role, but winning matches more often. So that's what I would do with LA Knight. And with Roderick Strong, I think he is actually going to be coming back and helping Adam Cole in some format. That's my prediction. I think that he can't deal with the Undisputed Era breakup. And I think that it's going to be something that when Adam Cole returns to take out Kyle O'Reilly, I think Roderick Strong wants to get the band back together. And I could even see Bobby Fish potentially being involved with that as well, unless Fish comes back to protect O'Reilly. Stay safe, guys. Wash hands, drink water, eat your vitamins, and wear the mask. Definitely. Of course, we are in the pandemic era right now. And of course, everyone stay safe. Look after yourselves. It's a great comment there. And yeah, do what we need to do. And hopefully we can get back to normality very soon. But that's all for me anyway. Thank you so much to everyone that has been involved in this. I really do appreciate it. And like I say, this has been SCW Live. It's been great fun. I hope you've all enjoyed it as well. If it's your first time watching and you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. This has been the 1K live stream celebration. So thanks to everyone that's got involved on it. And thank you all for your questions. I'll see you all next time. And yeah, have yourselves a good one. I'm going to hopefully try and drop a video on Saturday. If I can't, for sure, ask SCW the regular Q&A, which you can get involved in. I'll answer your questions there on Sunday. Take care. All the best. Thank you for watching. This has been SCW here on YouTube.